Hey guys, I'm Sarah W. and today I've got the wonderful Amy with me from BU Coaching, and Amy is going to help us talk through the difficult topic that always comes up, which is how to say no to people.
And more importantly, how to say no without feeling guilty. Because it can be easy to say no, but then do you carry that guilt or you feel bad about saying no to that person or that thing for the rest of the day or even the rest of the week? And then when that event does come up and you know you've said no, are you then thinking about it for the whole day? And I mean, you might as well be there if you're going to be thinking about it the whole day and be consumed by it. So there's a few techniques that I use, and one in particular that has really made such a difference for me and made me feel so empowered in saying no to things is that I recognize that one of my bigger flaws, I guess I would put it as, is that when I feel like I've got a lot on my plate, I feel quite overwhelmed, I can get a bit anxious, and that leads me to be quite irritable and I can get snappy. And for me personally, that's not the person who I want to be for myself, but also the people around me, those closest to me, don't deserve that version of me either. And that was a real big wake-up call for me when I realized that, well, I can actually have control over this. I can choose the things that I say yes or no to, and that can then affect how I am as a person and how I show up for me and everyone else around me.
I can really relate to that, Amy. Something I do, like friends and family are really important to me, part of my core values. Come to a weekend, I often just feel like I'm saying yes to social events, yes to kids sporting, yes to work commitments. I'm saying yes to everything because they are important to me.
Yeah.
But then I feel when I show up at these things, I'm not quite there because I'm thinking about the next thing I've got to get to, or I'm thinking about someone else I've got to call back. So what is your hot tip on managing this sort of overwhelm that comes with saying yes to everything?
Yeah, for sure. So two things come to mind when you're mentioning that. The first thing is that you don't have to be rude when you're saying no. We kind of feel like we're going to be labeled as selfish or that people are going to be talking about us behind our backs and things. But okay, how can we start to reword the no into something that is more acceptable, a bit nicer way of saying, instead of just replying no, sorry, I can't make it, what's the reasoning behind why? And being honest with them as well. It's not making an excuse. It's actually thinking about, what would I be doing with my time? Or do I already feel too overwhelmed and I recognize that I haven't actually been able to spend time with my family really this week because I've been working so much, or whatever it is that's got you feeling overwhelmed. And is it more important for you to be able to spend your time with your family for that day?
Yeah.
If you can respond to them, no, I'm sorry I can't make it, but thank you so much for the offer. I feel like I've been quite overwhelmed this week and I'd really just love to stay in with the family tonight. How does that feel for you?
That sits nicely with me, because giving them an explanation, I like your point, rather than an excuse.
Yeah.
I must admit, in the past I've been very guilty of saying yes to something knowing that I'm going to pull out at the last minute, and make up an excuse at the last minute. So I like the idea of explaining it and giving a reason. I still feel a little bit anxious with that, because what about their reaction? I have some people in my life, often family. I think we find I say, no, I can't come to that event because I need to prioritize my even self-care.
Oh yeah.
And their reaction is that they don't understand that. What's a hot tip to manage that?
So, and again, two things come up for me with that. The first thing, and probably the easier one, is to think about how you would feel if someone said that to you. So if you had asked a friend to come over for dinner or go out for dinner that night and they'd responded back with something like that, would you really care? Or would you get that message yourself and be like, okay, that's fair enough? So, that's the more understanding type of people. But I do understand that there is those more kind of difficult, strong-headed people that do feel quite empowered with their opinions as well. So a way that you can start to work around that is to really recognize that you can't do anything about what other people think of you. Other people's opinions, you can't control them. You can't control what other people think, what they feel, what they do. And it's starting to recognize that. And I know we speak about it a lot at BU, but it's all about giving yourself that space between the thoughts that you have, rather than it feeling all consuming and being so worried about what they're going to think, what they're going to say, how they're going to react to your response. Sending the message and feeling more empowered within yourself, knowing that how they choose to take that message is on them.
Yeah.
That's their perspective of what you have decided for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So what you're sort of saying is, rather than, like, if I want to say no to something, make sure I'm clear on why I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Make sure it feels okay in here and it feels aligned to me.
Yeah.
Say no with honesty
Yeah.
and, integrity and authenticity. So
Yeah.
say no, be honest with them, and then let it go. So
Yeah.
then don't carry that weight, because the last thing you want to do is say no to something and then be sitting at home doing what you wanted to do but feeling guilty for that.
Exactly. And I think another big thing is, so many of us are so used to saying yes to everything all the time that this isn't going to be something that you just do once and you feel amazing straight away. This is an ongoing practice, and it really does come down to self-care again as well, because it's recognizing that you can have the power to stop feeling so overwhelmed, and it's just a habit. It's just starting to say no when you feel like you want to, and realizing that it doesn't mean that you have to say no every single time.
Yeah.
It's just starting to create that habit so that you start to recognize that you feel so much more empowered when you are doing the things that you want to be doing.
Yeah. I also think something that's really important in saying no to people is realizing that you're saying no to a certain task or to a certain event.
Yeah.
You are not saying no to the person or the relationship or the friendship. And that's something that some people often don't distinguish between.
Definitely.
So, hey Amy, I know you've got a barbecue this weekend and I would love to come, but I'm not going to come because I've got something else on with my family.
Yeah.
But I still love you as a friend.
Yeah.
And I still value our friendship.
Yeah.
I think it's important to
really
understand
beautiful that way. Yeah. Definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you for listening, guys. I am sure there throughout this video a number of things have come up for you that you've said yes to, that you wanted to say no to. This is a great opportunity for you to go and have a think about how you might say no and put it into practice. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.